All right, we are live. Hey there, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, August the 3rd. And the way this video chat's going to work, as all my video chats do, is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next 45 minutes to an hour and answering any questions that you would like to discuss with regards to building muscle, burning fat, and any specific challenges that you may be dealing with when it comes to your workout and nutrition program. So if you have anything that you would like to discuss, please feel free to post those questions, comments in the chat window, and I'll do my best to help you out in any way that I can. While you're doing that right now, I'm just going to get a few things organized from my end. And again, for those of you who are watching, please let me know in the chat window if you can hear me, if you can see me, and if it's coming through loud and clear. I always appreciate that, just to make sure that everything's coming through before I actually get into answering your questions and stuff like that. Of course, I don't want it to be wasting my breath here. I don't want it to be a talking head going out to the internet with no audio or maybe video issues. So if you can let me know if it's coming through loud and clear, I would greatly appreciate that. All right. Okay, we have one user joining us, Chubby Donut, saying you're awesome. Well, appreciate the comment, but can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it coming through loud and clear? If you could do that, I would appreciate it much. And those of you who have been following along, okay, we got Max joining us. Thank you, Max. Thank you for saying it. Says it all sounds good, Lee. I do appreciate it. Loud and clear, says Phil. Good stuff. Great. I always want to do that little check before we actually get into the content, into the meat and potatoes of the video chat. So for those of you who have been following along, you probably realize that I've embarked on my goal to become fit over 40, and it's been going quite well. I mean, I've had some challenges along the way, and I actually sent out an email there this week explaining some of those challenges. But despite the fact that it has not been a perfect journey, I've still made progress. And that's what you need to focus on, is making progress rather than getting hung up on perfection. And the video, if you go to the main YouTube channel right now, my main one, the video that's the featured video right now, watch that, because I go into detail explaining how you don't have to be perfect to make progress. And one of the things that I think holds a lot of people back is they have this vision or idea in their mind thinking, if I can't do it perfectly, then I'm not going to do it at all. And that is really going to hold you back. It's hold you back from ultimately achieving what you could potentially achieve if you just went ahead and did it anyway. I mean, a lot of people think, well, you know, I have to have the perfect workout program, I have to have the perfect diet, I have to have the perfect time frame. And if there's anything that goes against that so-called perfect schedule or that perfect environment that you have in your mind, then you think there's no point in doing it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be things that's going to pop up and get you off track. What's going to determine whether you're making progress is how you deal with those things, and can you keep moving forward despite the fact that things are not going perfectly according to plan. So I actually posted an email. I think I even posted it in the community tab at the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't already done so, head on over there to the community tab and check that. And I do post a lot of things in between videos in the community tab. Like I'll post updates, I'll post things that are going on. Again, updates, for example, this video chat, I posted an update there in the community tab. So be sure to check in there from time to time to see some updates and things that I discuss in between videos. All right, let's move on. I got a question coming through here asking, how do you lose love handle fat? Well, you know what? Love handle fat is just fat. There's nothing special about love handle fat except that it just happens to be that stubborn fat around the midsection. You know, some people refer to it as love handle, some people refer to it as the spare tire, but it's just a stubborn layer of fat. And you're going to lose that the same as you lose any fat through diet and exercise and consistency over the long term. Now, if you need some specific help with this, then I actually have a good program that you can download right on my website, and this will help to move you in the right direction. And it's called Bodybuilding Nutrition Made Simple, because I'm going to tell you right now, the key to losing body fat comes down to your diet. I mean, yes, weight training is important. Yes, cardiovascular training is important, but if you don't have a good nutrition program in place, you can't out-train a bad diet. So if you're going to focus on one thing, focus on your diet first, and then we can worry about improving the training and that thereafter. And I'm assuming if you're here watching this video now, most people who do watch tend to be already involved with exercise to some degree. That's usually the way it is. I find when I'm talking to most guys, going to the gym is not the challenge. The challenge is the nutrition side of things. So if that's where you're at now, then what I want you to focus on is your nutrition. And to help you with that, you can go to leehayward.com. And there in the side menu bar of the website, you'll see a link for Bodybuilding Nutrition Made Simple. Click on that, and you can download it. Again, it's a free ebook guide, and it will cover the fundamentals of how to structure your diet to help you not only burn that excess body fat, but also how to build some lean muscle mass in the process. We've got Extra Bike Blogs joining us. We have John Doe joining us, and John's asking, Lee, what's your opinion, your thoughts on pre-mixing a week's worth of protein shakes? What's your thoughts on pre-mixing a week's worth of protein shakes? Well, first off, I have to ask, why? I wouldn't see any issue with mixing, say, like a day's worth of protein shakes in advance. I mean, I've often done that myself, but a week, I think that's a bit excessive. Now, if they're properly stored, properly refrigerated and everything else, it's probably not necessarily going to hinder the protein quality, but I think just do it on a daily basis will probably be more than enough. And that's something that I've often done, especially if I was in a bulking phase, trying to gain muscular body weight and increase my caloric intake. I found that having food easily available was one of the keys to getting more food in your system. And one of the things that I would often do is mix up 2 to 3 protein shakes and have them in the refrigerator ready to go. So if you're in a hurry, you want to grab something quick, or sometimes even in the middle of the night. If you wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom or whatever, you could even chug down a protein shake then. And that was a great way to help to bump up your overall caloric intake and, of course, your overall protein intake as well. If your main goal is fat loss, I really don't think that that's probably necessary. I mean, it's not necessarily going to hurt, but I kind of, for people who are focusing on fat loss, I tend to recommend more solid food and less shakes. For guys who are trying to focus on building mass, I typically recommend adding in some more shakes because it's very often easier to drink extra calories and drink extra protein than it is to eat it all through solid food. Not saying that you don't need solid food, but I'm saying if you want to consume a surplus, sometimes it's easier to get that surplus through liquid nutrition. And that's where having some extra protein shakes can help. But as far as mixing them up a week in advance, honestly, I think if you left a protein shake in the fridge for a full week, it probably is not going to taste that good. So I'd only do it a day or two in advance at most. All right, got a question here. I need no bulky body plan. I need no bulky body plan. Let's do that as a tongue twister. Everybody together now. I need no bulky body plan. If you want a bulky body plan, what I would recommend is go to my website, as I always do. Go to my website. I've got it all on my bloody website. I have a program there called the 3 Keys to Building Muscle. And this is, if I were to decipher your question properly, it is a bulky body plan, meaning that this is a program that's going to help you with your muscle building program, your nutrition, as well as the mindset that goes behind it all. And that is often the missing link. I mean, most people that I talk to, they know what they need to do in terms of exercise. They know what they need to eat in terms of nutrition. But the thing that's holding them back is this device that's up here between their ears. They have so much mental BS and blockage that's holding them back from doing what they know they need to do. They'll make up excuses of, oh, I don't have time. Oh, it's too busy. Or, oh, I'll do it later. Or, oh, I can't afford it. Oh, this. Or, oh, whatever. And that mental BS is what's holding them back. And then before you know it, a year goes by, 2 years goes by, 3 years go by, and they're still, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if they just kind of like tell their lower self to shut up and do what they know they need to do, and what's ultimately the right thing to do, they would move towards their goals so much faster and so much easier. I mean, we are often our own worst enemy that's holding our progress back. It's not lack of information. It's not lack of a program. It's not lack of knowing what to do. It's just lack of understanding how to control that negative self-talk that goes on between our ears. But anyway, if you want your bulky body plan, I know I went off on a little tangent there, but if you want that bulky body plan, head on over to leehayward.com and download the 3 keys to building muscle. And in fact, there's probably even a link to it right on the main YouTube channel. I usually put a link to it in the description of a lot of my videos as well. But that is a good overall place to start. That will put you in the right direction. Okay, oops, I lost my place there. Again, I have this little mouse with the wheel on it, and when I flick that wheel, sometimes I jump like a dozen or more comments ahead, so I just lost my place. Give me a second to get back to where I was. All right, we have Sad Naveed, I believe that's the name. Says, hi Lee, are green supplements / powders worth it, or should I stick to fruits and veggies? Both. You definitely need to have the foundation of a good, well-balanced diet. That includes fruits and veggies. In fact, I know we tend to say fruits and veggies, but if you want to do it in the proper order, it should be vegetables and fruit. You should be eating more vegetables than fruit, because vegetables are more nutrient dense and there's less sugar, right? I mean, fruit is kind of like nature's candy. I mean, they're still good for you. There's still lots of vitamins and minerals and fiber and all that good stuff in fruit. But if you're looking at that balance, more vegetables is where I would steer the majority of people. But in addition to that, you can also supplement your diet with greens. And there are a lot of different greens powders on the market. One that I like to use myself is called Athletic Greens, athleticgreenspowder.com if you want to go check them out. And this is basically a concentrated source of vegetable nutrition. And this comes in handy for those times when you aren't able to eat solid food vegetables with your meals. Like, I'm going to be honest, I recommend that everybody strive to eat a serving of vegetables with every single meal. That means a serving of vegetables with breakfast, a serving with lunch, a serving with dinner. If you're having more meals than that throughout the day, also have vegetables with those meals. If you can't get a solid serving of vegetables, then this is an ideal time to put in a green supplement. Just like we supplement protein powder to help bump up our protein intake, we supplement a greens powder to help bump up our vegetable intake. So you need both. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Phil is joining us. He says he keeps suffering from elbow pain here and there. Nothing major, but annoying. Would you cut out any exercises that flare it up, or should I look to stretch it more? Any advice? Well, that's really going to depend on you. I mean, if there is an exercise that you do that causes pain and discomfort, then you should definitely make note of that exercise and either eliminate it from your program or find another variation that you can do instead. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say barbell bench presses cause elbow pain. If that's the case, then find another variation to barbell bench presses. Either just eliminate that exercise entirely, or you could try maybe a dumbbell bench press. Right? Maybe you could try an incline bench press. Maybe you could try a bench press machine of some sorts, be that a Smith machine or a hammer strength machine or some sort of chest press machine at your local gym. But look for alternative movements that you can do to kind of work around that pain. And sometimes it even involves just getting creative. Like if you're doing bench presses, for example, and you always use the same width grip, try going a little wider or going a little narrower and see if that changes it. Because a lot of times, just these little tweaks to an exercise can make it more comfortable. Now, I don't know your body and I don't know the pain that you're suffering through, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to work for you. But I can give you some suggestions that you can then go and try and implement for yourself. But ultimately, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error on your part in order to figure out what you need to do in your situation. Generally speaking, a lot of times machine exercises, especially cable exercises, tend to be a bit more therapeutic on the joints than free weight exercises. So when you are working around joint pain, Very often machines and cables can be a nice alternative. Another one that's often good is rubber fitness bands. Doing exercises with rubber bands can be therapeutic on the joints compared to free weights as well. So you might want to look into using some different rubber band variations in your workouts. All right, we've got ADZ 1982 saying, how can I bulk up without increasing the size of my big belly? The key to bulking and not getting fat is really quality nutrition. And I've made videos about this before, and I'm just going to summarize it here quickly. When you're bulking up, you want to treat that bulk up program with the same mentality and the same discipline and the same structure as you would a strict fat loss program. Unfortunately, when a lot of guys go to bulk up, all they think about is eating a lot. And as long as they're eating a lot, they really don't care. And I mean, I've talked to guys personally who are bulking up, and I say, okay, well, tell me about your diet. And they're like, well, I eat hamburgers, I eat pizza, I eat French fries, I eat chips, I eat this and that. I mean, yeah, they're getting a lot of calories, and certainly that's going to help them bulk up. But where's a lot of those calories ending up? Around the midsection, because it's empty calories, it's low quality calories, and of course, a lot of extra fat and just low nutrients, food that they're consuming. You want to focus on the quality, high density nutrition foods, just like you would if you're following a fat loss program. So your lean protein, your vegetables, your fruits, complex carbohydrates, good quality nutrition. The only difference between the fat loss diet and the clean bulking diet is you're going to eat higher portions of those good quality foods. And by doing that, you're going to help to encourage more lean muscle gains rather than excess body fat gains. In addition to that, you want to keep regular cardio in your routine. Now, it doesn't have to be as much cardio as you would do if you were trying to burn body fat, but it should be a maintenance level of cardio, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, at least 3 to 4 days a week to make leaner gains. I mean, having that moderate amount of cardio in there is going to encourage leaner gains versus no cardio at all. So it really just takes a bit of planning and structuring your program, and most importantly, avoiding that seafood, eat food, bulk up diet. Like, just don't eat calories for the sake of jamming food down your pie hole, because ultimately that's just going to cause you to gain fat, and the quality of muscle that you gain from that is not going to be, it's not going to be ideal, put it that way. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay, ADZ saying, yeah, the gym is the easy part, but diet is the hardest. We have Blue Camaro Z28 saying, does one have to cook his diet food, or can he get away with eating out? That depends on what you're eating out. Some places, especially in major cities, you're going to have food prep services. And what this is basically companies that will provide you with foods that fit your macros that you can either order in advance and they'll deliver them to your house, or sometimes they might have locations where you can go in and get these prepared meals in advance, and they fit in with a health and fitness lifestyle diet. In fact, I was talking to a company just last month who's actually in the process of opening a new location in just in the in our local area, and that's what they do. They provide pre-made meal plans. So I mean, you can sign up with them and either have your meals delivered right to your door, or you can go in and pick them up. But you can just decide in advance how many meals you want and what kind of foods you want and stuff. And like, they have their, if you will, like a bodybuilding and fitness menu, and you can choose from that menu foods that fit your needs and lifestyle. So if you're really busy, you hate to cook, and that's just one thing that you don't want to do, like you don't want to have to worry about grocery shopping, you don't want to have to worry about cooking, you don't want to have to worry about the dishes and all that crap, and you just want to have food, ready to eat when it's time to eat, look into a meal prep service. And you can go on Google and search for areas in your local city, ask around at your local gym, ask around at your local supplement store, and I'm sure somebody's probably going to be able to point you in the right direction for places that can help with that. As far as eating out, You know, there's probably a lot of healthy restaurants. I mean, this is becoming more and more popular, especially if you live in a major city. Now, if you live in, you know, little Timbuktu, you know, Hicktown out in the stakes, nothing against that. I mean, I kind of live in a very small area as well, so I'm in that area. But if you live in Timbuktu out in the stakes, then probably you're not going to have all the different choices available that you would if you were living in a major city. But, you know, still look around, ask around, and you can probably find ways to make eating out fit within your, you know, your bodybuilding and fitness program. All right, we have Pat joining us, and he's saying how to grow while on a maintenance calorie intake. Says I don't want to bulk. Bottom line, if you don't want to bulk, I mean, I would assume, but just the way you're saying that, is you'd ultimately like to make lean gains while losing body fat. That's the, when I read between the lines of that comment, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you'd like to lose some body fat while making lean gains in the process. And ultimately, what you need to do is focus on fat loss. Get yourself following a fat loss diet plan, doing regular cardio, and then through consistency with your weight training and also consistency with your nutrition, you're going to help to build lean muscle in the process. I mean, you can still gain lean muscle while in a caloric deficit. Now, it's not going to be the same degree of muscle and strength gains that you would make if you were in a caloric surplus, but you can still make some progress nonetheless. I mean, it's very common for people to, let's just say someone loses 20 pounds of body fat and then gains 2 to 3 pounds of lean muscle at the same time. You know, that is very realistic. It's very doable with a properly structured program. So again, in your situation, you can make lean gains while losing body fat as long as it's structured properly. And ultimately, what it's going to come down to is consistency on your part and, of course, following the right numbers. Arnold is joining us. He says, Lee, please, I have a question. I'm on test E for 5 weeks. He asks this every week. Look, I'm not a steroid expert. I'm not a hormone replacement specialist. Look, if you have issues with the steroids and testosterone that you're taking, go talk to your doctor about it. Because quite honestly, that's not my area of expertise, right? I'm not a steroid guru. I'm not a hormone replacement specialist, and I can't help you with taking testosterone and steroids. James is asking how the family's doing. The family's doing well. Thank you very much for asking. John is asking, says he's bulking. The reason is my Ninja, what? The reason is my Ninja single serve is, and what, I have 3 different powders to mix. I don't know what the heck you're asking there, buddy. Wait now. I think you mean your blender. There's a blender out there called a Ninja, I think. And he says, my Ninja single serve is small. I'm like, what the Jesus is a Ninja single serve? But I think you mean your blender. You could just say my blender. Okay. I got your question. Let me translate it for everybody at home. John is bulking, and he has a small blender. And he says that it's a pain because he has 3 different powders to mix in this blender. They would be properly stored. I'll do 2 days worth. Okay, that's great. I don't know where the question is. Let's move on. James is saying he loves the weekly videos. I appreciate that, James. Glad you love the videos, even though, you know what, these videos go far from perfect. Like I sometimes I have no idea what the questions are, or at least I just can't answer them. But anyway. John is saying thanks. He says, I hope you kick ass on your Fit Over 40 quest. Thank you much. We have Darag joining us. He says, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is another tool that you can implement in your dietary toolbox of strategies. I've used it myself. I find it effective, but it's not for everybody. If your goal is fat loss, if your goal is weight maintenance, if you are older and you find that your metabolism has slowed down and you're not you don't need to eat as much as you once did when you were younger. If you kind of fit into those categories, then I think intermittent fasting could be a solution or an alternative that you could look into. I personally like it. I find that it works well for my schedule, it works well for my body type, and it works well for my fitness goals. So I do a modified intermittent fasting approach because it works for me. But again, I know it's not for everyone. So like I say, it's when you look on YouTube and you look on the internet, and there's different, there's some experts out there who say, oh, intermittent fasting is the long lost secret to all your fitness woes. If you start following intermittent fasting, you're going to be huge, you're going to be ripped, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, women are going to be beating down your doors, money is going to rain from the sky. I mean, it's not the savior, the be all end all that some people make it out to be. It's just another dietary strategy that you can try. That's it, right? It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. There's a time and a place for it, and like say that's it. It's not some, it's not a gift from heaven above. It's just another dietary strategy that you can implement. We have Respergu is joining us. He says, hi, Lee, is it okay to drink a few beers on the weekend? Well, you know what? Quite honestly, you can do whatever you want. Right? If you want to drink beer, go ahead and drink beer. Is it going to help with your muscle building and fat loss goals? Probably not. I personally don't recommend it, and I don't do it. But if that is a priority for you, if drinking beer is a priority and a must do, then you got to figure out a way to make that work. Make it fit in with your nutrition program, with your caloric restrictions, or that you're working towards, be that building muscle, losing fat. You have to make it work within your program. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. I mean, I know people who drink socially in moderation and still make it work. I mean, obviously, moderation is the key. You're not going to be an alcoholic drinking every day and have that, cooperate with your bodybuilding and fitness goals. It's just not going to work that way. But if you have, literally a few beer on the weekend, you can make that work. And if you want some practical suggestions for this, just do a YouTube search for Lee Hayward alcohol or Lee Hayward drinking or something like that. I've made several videos covering some practical suggestions and strategies on how you can actually minimize the damage from social drinking. So if you want to go and search for those, just do a YouTube search for Lee Hayward alcohol. You should be able to find it. All right, Extra Bike Blog saying thanks very much for the question, I think it is, and he says Patrick is joining us. He says it's time to start calisthenics. Okay. Orang is joining us. He says thanks for the time. Been awaiting your kindness. Guidance, please. I want to know about walk. Is it effective for fat loss? How many times should I do per week, and what should be the duration? Thanks. I actually made a video very recently talking about the benefits of walking, but I'll kind of summarize it right here. Walking is a very underrated form of exercise, especially for fat loss, and the reason for that is because it's easy to do. You can pretty much do it anywhere, anytime. You just need a pair of sneakers and get off your ass and go out and walk. The convenience aspect is there. As far as how often, how long, what the duration, that really depends on you and your schedule and your fitness goals. If your goal is to lose fat, I'd recommend trying to walk for an hour a day. It doesn't have to be an hour in one go. You could break that up, say like 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes on your lunch break, 20 minutes in the afternoon. It could be, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. It could be 60 minutes all in one go. It really doesn't matter. But if your goal is fat loss, I'd recommend shooting for an hour every single day. Now, does that mean you have to do an hour every day? No. There's probably going to be some days where you miss it because you're extra busy or the weather's not suitable outside or whatever. But try to be as consistent as you can. Even if you went out and walked 5 days a week for an hour, that's still better than no walking at all. And the thing that I like about it is it can be done in addition to pretty much any workout routine that you're doing, because walking is such a low intensity exercise that it's not going to break down your muscle tissue. It's not going to hinder your recovery, and it's not going to stress out your central nervous system. It's, in fact, an active recovery. It's easy on the body, and it can actually help to promote faster recovery. So if you do a hard weight training workout one day and then go for a brisk walk the next day, that walk is actually aiding with the recovery process from circulating more blood flow and oxygen throughout your system. And it's just a great form of mental relaxation as well. So walking is an underrated form of exercise that can be very complementary to a bodybuilding and weight training program. All right, so we have James is joining us. He says, can you recommend outer pec workouts apart from flies and wide grip presses? Quite honestly, instead of getting hung up, okay, I want to train the inner pecs or I want to train the outer pecs, just think of training your pecs. If you can get stronger on all your core chest exercises, then your chest is going to improve. So you want to focus on a well-rounded chest workout. So usually that includes some sort of mid-range compound exercise, meaning some form of bench press variation. It's going to include some form of stretch exercise, meaning some form of dumbbell fly variation. It's going to include some sort of peak contraction exercise, be that a cable crossover or a pec deck variation. You can also do some other moves like dips and push-ups or pullovers and things like that to cover all bases of your chest workout. But as long as you're covering all those bases, mid-range, fully stretched, peak contraction, and then maybe doing some body weight moves in there as well, like push-ups or dips, you're going to hit all aspects of your chest for a good overall development. Ultimately, what it comes down to is just building that muscle bigger and stronger and then losing the body fat that's covering the muscle. That's all you can really do. Right? I mean, some people say, well, this is a shaping exercise or this exercise is going to focus on this aspect a little bit more. But ultimately, you can build the muscle bigger and you can lose the body fat that's covering it. And that's really all you can do to enhance your physique. So that's what you want to focus on when it comes to your chest workouts. And then Jesse is joining us. He says, Lee, just want to say, I love your videos and good luck on your journey. I'm right with you, starting over for myself and for my wife. Well, thank you, Jesse, and appreciate the support. And I wish you all the best in your start again journey as well. We have Crazy Casper joining us. He's, oh, Freddie Mercury is what he says. Okay. Always Running is joining us. And he says, what are your best lifts in the gym for the big three, bench, squat, and deadlift? All right. The best lifts that I ever did, this was back mid-2000s, back when I was, my primary focus at the time was training for powerlifting. And I actually did a powerlifting meet back in 2004. My best bench press was 445 pounds. Best squat, I believe it was 520 pounds, that range, and I think deadlift was around 530. So I could be a little off on those, but both squat and deadlift were over 500, and bench was 445. I remember that. But those were my personal best lifts for the three big ones. Now, could I do that now? Hell no. I can't lift that much now. But back in the day, I actually did lift that much, and I even have it on videos. In fact, if you're a member of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle Coaching Club, in the video section of the member site, you can go down there and there's like an archive of some old footage. And in there is footage from my powerlifting meet that I did back in 2004. And there's some old training lifts in there as well, including the bench press and the squats and the deadlifts and stuff like that I just mentioned. That's how I actually got started with YouTube. I mean, like back in the day, YouTube as we know it did not exist. I mean, people didn't go on and become YouTubers to think, well, I'm going to be rich and famous because I'm going to be a YouTuber or something like that. At the time, all I saw YouTube as was this was a site you could actually upload and host a video from. Nothing more than that. There was no community. There was no comments. There was no. I didn't give a crap about all that stuff. I just thought this was a place where I could host a video. So what I did is I used to bring my 8mm camcorder on a tripod to the gym, and I would set that up and I would videotape myself doing the lifts. So I'd like, if I was doing a bench workout, I'd videotape the bench workout. If I was doing a squat workout, I'd videotape that, or deadlifts or whatever. And I videotaped myself lifting, and then I'd want to watch that video afterwards to critique my form. And the reason I was doing that is because I was getting ready for a powerlifting meet, and I wanted to see if those lifts would pass in competition. because obviously if you're familiar with powerlifting, you had to be very strict. You know, you have to be able to pause the bench press. You had to be able to make proper depth with your squat. You had to be able to pull the deadlift smooth without hitching at the knees and all that kind of stuff. So I was working out and videotaping myself and using it just as a personal education tool. Like I'd watch the video, get that third person perspective and critique my form afterwards. And then every now and then, if I set a personal best, you know, like hit that 500 plus squat or whatever, I say, hey, you know, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. And then I would just like email the link to my friends and say, hey, you know, I hit a personal best in the gym and boom, here's proof, right? Here it is, like squatting 500 or benching 400 or whatever it was. And that's how it got started for me. I mean, I just started uploading video clips like that. And then, you know, several months later, I had a friend of mine say, hey, you know, we should make some videos together. And we actually made like a little half-ass workout video, which is still available. I have a full link to that. The full video is actually up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle members website. If you want to go download that, that's back in 2006. I think we made that video. And besides my powerlifting footage, that was the first video that I ever made. And when I look back at it now, I cringe because it's so cheesy, but it's just fun to see where it all started. And, you know, from there, it just kind of snowballed and I got into making more videos and ultimately, you know, expanding on the YouTube channel. And here we are. Here I am talking to you right now. So, I mean, it's, you know, it was just a work in progress over the last, well, you know, 14 years or more. There, that's when I started videotaping myself in the gym over 14 years ago. So it's all been just an evolution from there. We have Charlie joining us. He says, great videos. Been following them for a few years. You have been very helpful to me and my training. Thank you much, Charlie. I'm glad that you enjoy that. I'm glad to be helpful. Pat is joining us. He says, do you think 9 sets per big body parts each week and 6 sets for smaller body parts each week is enough for building muscle while on a maintenance caloric intake? Yes, you can certainly make progress with that volume. And in fact, when you look at training volume, you don't need to go to the extremes. Like sometimes you just need enough to stimulate growth. And there's actually been several studies, and of course you can take a study with a grain of salt, because you can make a study, you can manipulate the variables of a study to basically show whatever result you want. But for the sake of this example, there's been studies done where they try and test the different levels of training volume. And usually once you get up to a certain point, it's kind of like, you know, you make really good progress. And then once you go beyond a certain point, it's kind of like diminishing returns. So getting into that, in this case, say 9 sets for a major muscle group, 6 sets for a smaller muscle group, that's right on the edge of the optimal zone. I mean, yeah, you might be able to do a couple more and get a little tiny bit more results, but it's kind of diminishing returns beyond that. So, I mean, if you want to be the most efficient with your workouts, you know, you can do relatively conservative numbers and still get the majority of the results, right? So you don't need to kind of go overkill with the sets. Now, Matthew's joining us, and his question is, Lee, he says, I'm a big fan of your videos. What do you think of the keto diet? Have ever been on it? Also, what do you think of pea protein to use in shakes for muscle growth? I have tried a ketogenic diet, and I can certainly see how it helps with fat loss, but it's not a long-term diet that I would want to use for an extended period of time. If you got a short-term fat loss goal, like a bodybuilder trying to peak for competition, or a fitness model trying to peak for a photo shoot, or even just a weekend warrior who wants to peak for a beach vacation, you know, something like that. If you have a short-term fat loss goal where you want to kind of like lose fat as quickly as possible for the short term, i.e. like, you know, a month, 2 months, or max maybe 3 months, yeah, the keto diet could probably work. Is it a lifestyle? Is it something I'd want to do for the rest of my life? Heck no. not even close. I don't like the ketogenic diet myself. I find that it's some of the limitations, like when you're trying to go so low carbs in order to get into ketosis, very often you have to eliminate a lot of healthy carbs, things like fruits and vegetables and whole grains that I find can be actually advantageous and helpful. you have to eliminate those, or at least drastically reduce them in order to get into, you know, a true ketogenic state. And I just personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, I can see where it has its place. I mean, I've done it. I have gotten some results from it, but it's not a long-term eating plan, in my opinion. As far as pea protein, I have used pea protein before. It's just another protein powder. I mean, ultimately, what you want to look at when it comes to your protein intake is meeting your total daily intake for protein, whatever you determine that to be. I mean, let's just keep it simple and say you're going to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Then that could be a combination of protein powder. If you want to include pea protein powder in with that, that's fine. And also solid protein food. What matters the most is the total protein intake over the course of the day. Where all those different protein sources come from, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but that is in secondary in importance to the total amount of protein. So if you're eating a well-balanced diet with a wide variety of protein sources, you can definitely include pea protein in along that as well. One of the good things about pea protein is if you have any issues with digesting dairy, you know, lactose, so you probably don't want to consume a whey protein. You're probably looking for an alternative. Pea protein could be that alternative. We have Azim is joining us. He says, Lee, this may take more than one comment, so keep reading. I love how he gives me the heads up right there. I was browsing through your channel to refresh my memory. I saw the shoulder press machine exercise video where you show 3 ways to use a shoulder press machine. I think I remember that video. It's been a while back, but I think I know the one you're talking about. He says, what's the optimal angle position to hit all heads of the delts? I'm still reading. I'm seeing if anybody else got the question there. Okay, and then now we're going to talk about supplements. So I did piece together your questions, Azim. I know we had multiple questions going on there. What's the ultimate? What's the optimal angle to hit all heads of the delts? Quite honestly, you're probably not going to do it in just one exercise or one position. So you might need multiple angles and multiple exercise variations to hit all 3 heads of the deltoids optimally. So for example, if you're using shoulder presses, that's primarily going to work the front and side delts, you know, a combination thereof, as well as some of the upper pecs, you know, and it's going to come into play as a secondary and supporting muscles. So if you really want to isolate all 3 heads of the delts, you really do need isolation exercises like front raises, side raises, isolation work for the rear delts. You need to do that in addition to your pressing exercises. I mean, are you going to hit all 3 heads of the delts with presses alone? Honestly, no, you're not. You're going to need to do some isolation work for the 3 heads of the delts, especially the rear delts. That's the one that's going to get neglected. If you're just focusing on overhead presses, you might get enough stimulation in the front delts. You probably get enough in the side, but your rear delts will lag behind. So you'll definitely need to include some isolation work for the rear delts. Now, again, you can play around with the shoulder press machines. Like say there's some variations where you can have your hands in like a parallel grip to the front, some where you have your hands to the sides, some where you're pressing more to the front, some where you're pressing more almost like a behind the neck press. I mean, you can do all these different variations. But again, if you really want to isolate all 3 heads of the delts, you are going to have to include some specific isolation exercises. All right, let's just move on. Let's see what else we got. We have Altide joining us. He says, Lee, am I missing out on gains if I don't do a bodybuilding split? Since full body workouts are mostly for beginners, how would a full body workout ever supply you with enough volume? You can do a lot in a full body workout. This whole idea of one best program, there is no such thing as a one best program. And you can manipulate a full body workout to hit different body parts. And in fact, I have a playlist on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel where it covers a total body workout, but the thing is, it's a different total body workout each day. So let's say you're doing 3 total body workouts. It's not the same workout 3 days a week. So workout 1 is a total body workout using certain exercises. Workout 2 is a total body workout using totally different exercises. Workout 3 is another total body workout using different exercises again. So you can have a lot of variety in a total body workout. You don't need to do the same shit every single time you go to the gym. You can still manipulate it and hit different angles and have a complete workout routine. You know, you don't have to limit yourself and thinking, well, okay, I can only do a bodybuilding split, or I can only do a total body, or you can change it up. I mean, there's no rules when it comes to this. You have all kinds of variety at your disposal. So don't think that you're at a disadvantage because you're doing full body workouts, or even think for that matter that a full body workout is that's only a beginner's program. I mean, I could put you through a full body workout that would have you crippled on the floor, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, some easy peasy pink dumbbell, you know, beginner's workout. You can have brutally hard and intense total body workouts that would, you know, leave you laid up and delayed onset muscle soreness for the rest of the week. Right? You know, it doesn't have to be an easy peasy workout. You can make them as hard and as demanding and as diverse as you want. Operation Truth is joining us. He's got a question asking about plate loaded versus free weights. Please talk in length on the pros and the cons. Talk in length. Don't just talk, but talk in length. Plate loaded versus free weights. Plate loaded, I'm assuming you mean like hammer strength machines and similar variations of plate loaded machines. A lot of the plate loaded machines I find are more advanced machines. They usually have a nice range of motion, and they tend to have a good feel to the movement versus some of the older weight stack machines. Even though, as long as a good quality weight stack machine versus a good quality plate loaded machine, there's not a big difference. Like I know, for example, I'm using hammer strength as an example here because it's a very popular one in most gyms. But they've made plate loaded variations, and they've also made weight stack variations of the same exercises. And quite honestly, it's the same movement pattern, right? There's not a whole lot of difference. I mean, yeah, you may feel it a little bit different, but ultimately one is just as good as the other. So ultimately what you're asking here is machines versus free weights, not necessarily plate loaded versus free weights. Both have advantages. Because the thing is, with machine exercises, you can hit your muscles from a lot more angles. You can do exercises that you cannot possibly do with free weights. I mean, free weights you're fighting against gravity up and down, right? If you're lifting a barbell up and down, you're lifting a dumbbell up and down, and that's pretty much it. When you have machines, now you have resistance coming from all different angles. Instead of lifting up, now you can pull down. Like you can have a cable set up, like a lat pull down. I mean, there'd be no way to really duplicate that with a free weight variation. Same with different, you know, cable exercises. You know, you can hit the muscles from so many more angles and positions when you incorporate machines along with free weights. But with that being said, the big basic exercises, your presses and your rows and your squats and your deadlifts and all that, I think they're more effectively done with free weights because you're putting your body into that real three-dimensional environment. When your body is moving at a resistance that can twist and move, and you have to bring in all these supporting and stabilizer muscles to balance, and it just puts your body at a higher level of neuromuscular awareness and more neuromuscular activation when you're doing a heavy free weight exercise. Like if you're doing a heavy squat, there's a lot more muscle activation and a lot more awareness going on within your body versus doing a leg press. Right? You know, it's a lot easier to do a leg press versus a squat. So there's pros and cons to both. And I think the best program would be to combine the two together. One of the things I like about machines is it tends to be more friendly for beginners. It's more friendly for people who are working around aches, pains, and injuries. So I mean, those are some good, solid advantages to machines. But if you are healthy and mobile and looking to really maximize your gains, then you need those free weight exercises in there as well to help maximize muscle stimulation. Hopefully that was enough length to talk about free weights versus machines. Respergo is joining us, and he gave me a $5 tip to the video chat, so I do appreciate that. Every little bit helps, so thank you much. It's much appreciated. And he says, "Hi, Lee. Keep delivering the good content and stay clean." Well, I'll try and stay clean. Thank you much. I do appreciate it. Azim has got another question saying, "Lee, my question is regarding supplements. Do I really need them to make gains, or will I do just fine with food and water?" No, you don't really need them to make gains, but they can help. And it all depends on what level you're at. If you're just a beginner starting off, then supplements are not a top priority. If you're more advanced in your training and you're really pushing your limits with consistency and effort with all aspects of training and nutrition, and you're looking for that extra edge, then that's where supplements can really help. But are they needed to make gains? No. I mean, diet and exercise is all you need to make gains. Can supplements help? In some situations, yes. I mean, I personally use supplements not so much from the making gains point of view, but from the general health and fitness point of view. Most of the supplements that I take are not necessarily to put inches on my biceps, but are to help improve my overall health. You know, things like digestive enzymes to make sure that I'm utilizing and assimilating all the nutrients that I eat. Probiotics to help populate my gut with good, healthy bacteria. I take various, fish oils to help ensure that I'm getting the omega-3s that I need to help prevent inflammation and to keep my body healthy. I take different B vitamins. I take vitamin D. I take a lot of things like that for the overall health and fitness benefits, which indirectly aid with the muscle building benefits, but it's not so much, again, taking all these things is not going to put inches on your biceps, but it is going to make you, help to optimize your health and fitness. So, supplements do have their place, but the foundation that you can't negotiate on is your overall diet and exercise program. That's what's most important. How are we doing for time? I'm going to answer another couple questions and then clue it up. We have Jesse's joining us. Says he was looking into putting his own pre-workout together. Besides caffeine, are there anything else you'd recommend adding, or would caffeine be enough? It really depends on what you're looking for. Quite honestly, I've had many a workout with a cup of coffee, and it worked fine. I like to be conservative when it comes to pre-workouts. I find some of the pre-workout supplements out there can go overkill, and actually, while it can be helpful initially, sometimes it can burn out your adrenal glands and be too much. Ultimately, it's just too much stimulation that you don't necessarily need. So what I would recommend, if you're looking for some additions, amino acids, whether they be branch chain amino acids or essential amino acids, that's something that you can look into with your pre-workout. And the reason for that is because it's going to help to aid with muscle recovery and growth during your training. Like when you have the amino acids, it actually helps to increase your training intensity. You'll be able to train harder with the amino acids in your system and recover faster. So if you're in a hard, training phase, really trying to maximize your gains, amino acids, definitely a good one. Creatine, another one. There's so many health and nutrition and muscle building benefits to creatine, but that can definitely be a part of a pre-workout. B vitamins as well. Also electrolytes, things like magnesium, potassium, sodium, all these kind of things can have a huge impact in your overall, exercise and fitness performance in the gym. I mean, if you go, I have a video about sodium, i.e. salt, and how just salt can have a huge impact on your performance in the gym. So, I mean, you could literally add salt to part of your pre-workout. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be mixed together. So it could be, you could take it separately or whatever, but literally having salt before you work out can have a noticeable impact in your strength, energy, and muscle pumps in the gym. So those are a few suggestions that you might want to look into and like I say, do your own research and experiment with. But bottom line, I mean, they're all simple, natural things that you can include with a pre-workout that are going to aid with your performance and not necessarily have any dangerous side effects. All right, let's answer one more question. Is it possible to build muscle with maintenance calories? Yes, it is. I actually covered a very similar question to that earlier in the video chat. Bottom line, you can build muscle and recomp your body, or even burn fat and build muscle at the same time, but it's not going to be to the same degree of progress as it would be as if you were in a caloric surplus. But for the majority of people, guys who are coming to me saying, look, I would like to be bigger and more muscular, but I'd also like to lose this belly fat. That's when we really want to focus on recomposition. So somewhere in that maintenance calories, maybe even just a very slight caloric deficit to help encourage fat loss, and then consistency with the training, consistency with the nutrition will also aid with building lean muscle in the process. So yeah, you can quite possibly, and you should be able to, if your diet and training is on check, be able to build muscle and lose fat simultaneously. I mean, it's the only time when that's not possible is when you're looking at advanced athletes, like advanced bodybuilders, fitness models, or people who are at the high level who've already maxed everything out and they're really trying to push the envelope of what's possible, like a competitive bodybuilder who's in the final weeks before a competition. I mean, he's obviously trying to maximize fat loss and get as lean and ripped as possible. No, he's not going to be building lean muscle mass in the days before a competition. But for the average person who hasn't maximized all this stuff, I mean, you're probably not even 100% consistent with your diet and training and all that. You're still half-assing it and winging it to a certain degree. If you just get on a structured program and follow the guidance of a knowledgeable coach, you can definitely build muscle and burn fat at the same time. It just takes the right approach and the right consistency and, of course, the right strategies. Azim is joining us again. He's got a question. If I stick to full body workouts and keep on changing exercises every 6 to 8 weeks, but stick to full body workouts, will that be all right? If that works for you, if you enjoy it, I mean, try it and see. I mean, people asking me, like, I don't have the crystal ball. I can't look into it and say, you know what, you need to do a full body workout. That's what's going to try it. Try it for 6 weeks and see what works. I mean, if you're enjoying it, you're making gains, and all that good stuff, keep doing it. If you following that full body workout and you're like, you know what, it just doesn't feel right, I'm not making the gains that I think I should, or I'm just getting bored of this, then try something else. I mean, we don't have to like put this regimented restriction on our program and say, I have to do this for X amount of time. You can try something, do it for a few weeks, do it for a month, do it for whatever, 6 weeks. If it works, great, keep going. If you enjoy it, keep going. If it doesn't work, change your approach. You don't have to have this rigid, fixed mindset of, I have to do it one way forever. And in fact, most people would probably be better off if they didn't have that strict regimented mindset and were open to more ideas and more flexibility. But the downside to that is then when you get into what's known as program hopping, where, okay, this week you find out about a program and you follow it. And then next week you find out about another program and you say, I'm going to try that one. And then, a few days later you hear about another program, you say, oh, I'm going to try that one. If you, like every week or so, you're changing to a new program, you're not going to maximize your progress either, because you don't give your body a chance to adapt and grow in response to one style of training. Change is good, but to a certain extent. So whenever you pick a program, follow it through for at least 4 to 6 weeks. That's my guideline. So if you want to do this full body workout, give it a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks and then reevaluate how things are going after that. If you do enjoy it, you're making gains and you want to keep going, then continue on beyond that. If you find that after 4 to 6 weeks, the program's kind of ran its course and it's not delivering the same results that it once did, feel totally free to change that up and do a totally different approach. And then that would be the optimal solution to help maximize your gains over the long term. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue it up. We've been going for about an hour right now, and I'm going to try and keep these chats to down around 1 hour. So I do appreciate all the support and all the questions that came through, and I really enjoy doing these video chats with you every Friday. So what I'll do is I will post the replay of this up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So if you want to go back over it and re-listen, you can certainly do so. And make sure to stay tuned for, or actually, heads up, I just brain fart here. I just remember next Friday I'm actually going to be on the road. I will not be able to do the live video chat. I'm actually going to be heading to Toronto next Friday. So there will be no live Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat next Friday, but the following Friday we should be back normal again. So who knows? I may make some workout videos while I'm on the road, but I'll be out of town, so we'll cancel next week's chat and pick it up the following week. So have yourself a great weekend, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks' time. Take care. Over and out.